Hi, this is Professor Berberena. This presentation aims to give you a general introduction to Caribbean societies and Caribbean studies. First, let's look at this map. It encompasses the Caribbean as a whole. Can you locate some Caribbean countries, like Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico? What about places like Veracruz in Mexico, Cartagena in Colombia, and Caracas, Venezuela? When we think about the Caribbean, many people imagine only the islands surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. However, defining the Caribbean is much more complex than geography alone. Traditionally, the region includes the Greater Antilles, that is, Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola Island, that includes Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, along with the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, in the Lucayan Archipelago, and the Lesser Antilles. Some definitions also include Belize, Guyana, and French Guiana because of their shared historical and cultural experiences with the region. The Caribbean is also often divided by colonial languages, such as the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, that includes Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, or the Anglophone Caribbean, sometimes called the West Indies. But these definitions can be limiting because they focus heavily on geography or European colonial categories while ignoring the lived cultural experiences of Caribbean peoples as a whole. The Lesser Antilles are commonly divided into two groups, the Leeward Islands in the north and the Windward Islands in the south. The Leeward Islands includes territories such as Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, and many French, Dutch, and British territories. The Windward Islands generally include Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago. However, these categories are not completely fixed. Some islands, such as Dominica and Barbados, may be classified differently depending on the source. This reminds us that regional definitions are often shaped by political, colonial, and historical perspectives rather than by natural or universally agreed boundaries. The terms leeward and windward came from European colonial expansion and navigation purposes. Focusing on a geographical definition is limiting because it excludes places that in fact share histories and experiences with the people of the insular or geographical Caribbean in mainland America. We can call this the continental Caribbean. That includes Mexican eastern coast, like Veracruz, Eastern Central American coast, that includes Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama, the northeastern South America, including Venezuela, Colombia, Suriname, Guyana, and French Guiana, Brazil, especially North Brazil, Florida, that includes the Caribbean diaspora, and New York City, that also includes the Caribbean diaspora. Understanding the Caribbean holistically has its challenges. One is the historical accountability, the fact that many of the sources are written in different languages. So not every scholar has access to all of these. It depends on people that can translate the different items and articles available and the different chronicles available to different languages. The language diversity also creates a different sense of identity and understanding. We have the division between what we call the Spanish-speaking Caribbean or the West Indies that usually includes the Anglophone Caribbean. Then we have the issue of the continental Caribbean when it's included, that also has a diverse linguistic understanding. We also have the British West Indies bias that excludes intellectual experience written in Spanish, French, Creole, Portuguese, and Patois. One definition we can consider is Charles Walkley's culture spheres that include the understanding that America is divided in different Americas, including Euro-America, Indo-America, and Plantation America. Euro-America is characterized by the destruction, in whole or virtual, of the original inhabitants of the American continent, the northern part of North America, the southern cone of Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. Indo-America includes the original inhabitants that are still present and could sometimes constitute an ethnical majority that are in Mexico, most of Central America, and part of the Andes. Plantation America includes southern United States, Caribbean islands, Brazil, areas where plantation was the predominant socio-economic organization. Plantation America, also known as Afro-America, is the most inclusive definition as it allows culture to be the source of departure to define a Caribbean. As Antonio Gastambide, a Puerto Rican scholar, writes in El Caribe Insular, Un pasado y una cultura compartidas, he says, while our people were forged in the heat of the imperial clashes and hells of sugar mills and cane fields, national projects and imaginaries that unite us and distinguish us were formed against foreign powers and our resistance to plantations and its implications. Some key aspects to consider in the future and in this class include questions like, are all original inhabitants completely absent in today's Caribbean? If we are to use a cultural definition of the Caribbean, what does constitute or define a shared Caribbean culture? Is there an actual Caribbean culture, and how would you define it? Let's briefly discuss the colonization period. The type of colonialism impacted the way the peoples of the Americas were treated and how they were integrated or not to the colonial society. The past experiences of such systems led the way through their respective colonial powers. Each political and social system was determined by particular economic interest. The rule of order were inspired by their respective colonial leanings, including gold, silver, sugar, etc. The colonial era lasted so long in the Caribbean due to hegemony, the gradual power gained through patriarchy, racism, capitalism, religion, and other means. The complex dynamics of all these processes impacted the respective racialization forms of these subsequent societies, their legal structures, and their further independence, if even achieved. The center-periphery logic was not so rigid in the Caribbean, but it did impact the way certain areas were more subject to mestizaje or racial mixture or not. When studying the Caribbean past, we must ask an important question. How do we know what we know? Access to knowledge about the past is often limited by who recorded history and whose voices were preserved. Much of what we know about indigenous Caribbean peoples comes from European chroniclers such as Ramón Pané and Bartolomé de las Casas. However, these sources were written through a biased perspective and must be interpreted critically. Historians also use other forms of evidence, including archaeological discoveries, carbon-14 dating techniques, forensic anthropology, oral histories, and comparisons with present-day indigenous communities that share cultural similarities with Caribbean people. The variety of sources helps scholars reconstruct the past. In other words, history is not found but interpreted through multiple perspectives and methods. In the following slides, we will see which are the countries or islands belonging to the different colonial empires like the British, the French, and the Spanish. Here's an example of the Caribbean map and how it looked in the 1600s. That is called the Viceroyalty of New Spain. The Caribbean was shaped by different colonial systems, and these systems influenced how race and culture developed in each specific country in the region. Some historians argue that the Spanish Empire allowed more legal and social mixing among Europeans, Africans, and indigenous peoples than the British and the French. Enslaved Africans in Spanish territories sometimes had greater opportunities to preserve aspects of their culture and form mixed communities with the Criollos and the Taínos, although this, of course, did not erase the violence and inequalities imposed on them. The legacy of this racial and cultural mixing can be seen today in the diversity of the Spanish-speaking societies like Puerto Rico. These societies reflect strong African cultural influences that continue to define Caribbean identity today, even if not so phenotypically evident. Here are some important dates during the colonial period besides 1492. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the Caribbean became a major site of European colonial competition. Spain first established settlements in Hispaniola Island, Puerto Rico, and Cuba. However, other European powers soon challenged Spanish control. The Dutch, French, and British attacked and occupied strategic Caribbean territories throughout the region. By the 17th century, the Dutch had seized Curaçao, the French had acquired Martinique and part of Hispaniola, and the British had taken Jamaica from Spain. This map shows the abolition of slavery in the Caribbean through time. We can see that Haiti was the first to abolish slavery, and the last country to abolish slavery was Cuba. The next few slides present a few facts about different Caribbean countries. If you're interested in any of this, you can further research about them using the university's library and online databases. To end, I would like to mention how the idea of Caribbean unity has taken different forms throughout history. One important example is the Confederación Antillana, promoted by Ramón Emeterio Betances and supported by figures such as Gregorio Luperón, Eugenio María de Hostos, José Martí, and José de Diego. Their vision proposed an alliance among the Spanish-speaking islands, that is, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic, to protect sovereignty and resist colonialism and foreign intervention. In the 20th century, the Federation of the West Indies attempted a similar idea among English-speaking Caribbean colonies under British rule. Unlike the Confederación Antillana, it became an actual political federation, but it dissolved in 1962 because of political and economic disagreements. Both projects raised important questions about Caribbean identity. Why were some islands included while others, such as Haiti, sometimes excluded? This debate shows how colonial and imperial narratives determined how Caribbean unity and belonging was conceived. Thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, this presentation was introductory. To go deeper in all the aspects or topics presented here, it's important that you read and that you go further doing your own research, watching documentaries, movies, etc.